Greetings, YouTube, and welcome to part 8 of God of War Ragnarok with a therapist. It has been a pleasure to have so many of you along for the ride on this playthrough. I am grateful for all the support, whether you are a person who just watches my videos and runs, if you skip ahead to when I'm paused so you can just hear the analysis, if you watch the entire thing, no matter how you consume what it is that I do, I am incredibly grateful for you, and I'm glad that you have made it this far. Tell your friends. I would appreciate that. Leave a like, leave a comment, engage, follow the links down in the description. Would love to have you on Twitch with us sometime. I stream mostly at 9:30 p.m. Pacific time, but I do know that, hey, I streamed in the afternoon last time, so you never know. But make sure you follow me there. That's all I got for you. I'm excited to start part 8, and I hope you're excited for it too. Let's see where all this information takes us. Groa deceived Odin. Ragnarok does not lead to the destruction of all. There is much to consider from the prophecy we saw, but now we must find a way out of this realm. Let's do it. I'm going to try to start reading that when we start, by the way. All right, fellas. Let's rock and roll. Find our way out of here by going back from where we came from.
Perhaps we should focus on our egress first.
Agreed.
We're going in hot, huh? There we go. Oh, good. More. Oh! Here's just slapping. A light elf warrior. What are we playing? Warcraft? These elven warriors are more than proficient with their blades. You'll need to focus properly. Make it through a duel with one unscathed. See if you can parry his dashing slash to open him up to counterattack. Okie dokie. Yeah, Tyr's just like throwing a couple little open-handed slaps in there, which I appreciate. He's warming himself up to it. Warming up to the violence. Learning to disrespect his surroundings. Well, he already learned to disrespect his surroundings. He was doing that. He's a huge fan of A Day to Remember. Where'd you go, Tyr? Wait, what the hell? Oh. Woo! So that's how we get down here. God damn it. I will say I have not quite gotten used to the fact that I have to actually pull my weapons out. I always think that it's just going to automatically use. Oops.
Down here.
Game sound is loud. Okay, well that's a new one. Usually it's too quiet. DrMick does prefer the Blades of Chaos. I make them my bitch. They don't make me their bitch.
Father, this way. Light up on the way.
The hell? I'm intrigued by the fact that I look at these now and I wonder, is there some sort of puzzle for me to solve? As opposed to, oh, it's just decorative. Way to keep me on my toes. Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Before more arrive.
Like Spider-Man. Kratos Parker. What if Parker's Kratos' last name? It would be kind of anticlimactic. Yeah, hi, what's up? I'm Kratos Parker. This is my son, Atreus Parker. Or as I would pronounce it, Kratos Praker.
Focus, Atreus.
Paker. Paker. I'd say it wrong. That's basically people. There's so many people nodding along right now at the idea that I'd say it wrong. That's what really matters. I see you,
This way.
YouTube. Dun, 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 dun.
Right ball! Watch out!
You guys ain't shit. Whoa! Oh shit, Tyr! Okay.
Use a shield strike.
She's using the light to heal herself!
No, she ain't. See ya.
Tyr, are you okay?
Alva. Winters ago, we defeated the Dark Elf King. It appears in his absence, a new guardian of the Temple of Light was anointed. Her swordsmanship and command of her form was unlike any I've gone up against. She was the aggressor, but once again, Atreus questions if we have helped the wrong side, referring to the struggle between Light and Dark Elves. The only side we can take in this conflict is our own.
No.
Uh-oh. Oh no, he had to use violence. Oh no. I'm going to be curious to see what he says here about this. But I can imagine one of the things that we're going to run into here with Tyr is a moral gray area. He has very much taken a stand against violence, as we talked about last episode, as a way to potentially enact some autonomy against the environment and certain prophecies. And we might look at his pacifism and say, that's so noble. That's so great. Violence is awful. What a guy that he would come around to the fact that he doesn't want to be violent. And morality tends to exist to some extent in absolutes, but it's kind of like ethics, where ethics really exists in gray areas. It doesn't exist in the black and white. He got attacked. He had a elf come at him and jump on him and attack him. And in that moment, violence was an act of self-preservation or survival. And when you have that kind of profound dissonance, where perhaps my existence is predicated on a violation of my moral code, that is an incredibly difficult counterbalance to hold and could create some real existential issues for Tyr. Because now he has to ask himself, like, is this just part of my nature? Am I forever doomed to have to use violence no matter where I go? Is there a way that I could use diplomacy that I'm just not smart enough to figure out? This is going to create a whole bunch of existential dread and issues for him based on the fact that the use of violence in this world constitutes a gray area. There is no black and white to this as much as he wants. In the same way that violence is always the answer doesn't work, violence is never the answer doesn't work. That's a hard thing for us to hold because we tend to skew in the direction of, well, staying away from violence is the ideal. This is going to be an interesting moment, I think, for him.
It is over.
It is far from over.
It's gonna be okay, Tyr.
You've seen what is to come. I told you I would not follow you to war, and yet here I am, dragging an innocent elf
Innocent?
and marching towards the destruction of Asgard.
What choice do we have?
There is always a choice. I will not lead you to war. I won't. I'm not that god anymore. I don't want to fight. But with you three, there is no avoiding it. Your path leads to countless deaths, unimaginable pain and suffering.
That is some profoundly difficult and well-represented boundary setting. And I really commend Tyr for that. He is correct on a lot of fronts here. The first one being there is always a choice. He is correct. There is a choice. That choice might seem skewed in a particular direction, particularly when you have Ragnarok upon you. But we could choose to stay away. We could choose, if there was a violent elf that came at us, to allow the elf to kill us. Many people always will fight back at that and say, no, there's no choice there. You have to fight back. No, you don't. You could let it go. We tend to choose survival when push comes to shove. But what Tyr is proposing here is really a radical acceptance of choice itself. That you at any given point in time can make a determination about what you do, with the caveat that it's with the variables that are at hand. So there are always variables that might force certain dynamics to be present in a given moment. It might make it difficult to see that there's choice, but ultimately there is always choice. That terrifies some people. Some people, in fact, will push against that so strongly that they'll suggest that you never have a choice. And that all is fate and prophecy in this case. So Tyr's acknowledgement of the fact that there is always a choice is really his way of holding Kratos and Atreus accountable to their decision making. That, yeah, you want to go through the world like this, guns blazing, by all means. But that's not for me. And because I've seen what you bring, and because I've now seen that being in your presence means that I am in some ways presented with choices that I don't want to make, I don't want to come with you anywhere. I don't want to lead the charge and lead you to war, and I'm going to set a boundary with the two of you. It's an incredibly effective way to do it. The way that he says what the boundary is, why the boundary exists, and I'm assuming what he's going to do about it, and what the potential maintenance of those boundaries looks like, and what the consequences are if those boundaries are violated. I really love that Tyr is willing to set that. If that's truly where he's at, we're not entitled to him acting in that way. He doesn't have to do that. And his autonomy in that, his exertion of autonomy on that is going to create variables that make choices harder for us, and that's what Kratos and Atreus are not going to like. I think Kratos can understand the nuance of this conversation a lot better than Atreus can, because he has such a more diverse lived experience leading up to his ability to understand that. There is a survival instinct to defend oneself, but what Tyr is suggesting is that that defense is a choice, and he is correct. Any behavior that you engage in relative to your environment is a choice. Like if somebody jumps on you and you push them back, you've chosen to do that. Now there is some nuance in this conversation, and sometimes there's automatic nervous responses that make it so that like you might flinch or something, and that's not necessarily your choice. But ultimately, when we're thinking about these on a broad scale, where we're choosing to engage in these certain environments where we know that danger is something that is upon us, there is choice there. And Tyr is saying, I made a choice right there to defend myself and to preserve myself at the expense of this elf that I'm now dragging across a light bridge, and I don't like that. So it's time for boundaries. He chose to follow us, and he doesn't like the consequences of it. So he's evaluated that and said, well, this needs to change. We could all learn a lot from that. And if you're curious about a more in-depth examination of boundaries, I recommend that you watch my video on YouTube about how to set and maintain healthy boundaries. It's one of my most watched mental health topic lectures, and I think that you may find a lot of good info in it.
Oh no! No!
Atreus!
Forward!
Oh boy.
Hold on!
Over here! You're chased!
Oh boy. Oh, that's cool. Are you kidding me? That's so badass, man. Just chuck the chain and Tyr can pull you up. Come on. Thanks for the raid, Jared. Cue Predator meme.
Agreed. Oh.
Are you entered?
No, sir.
Chef's kiss on the writing. Chef's kiss on the writing. I know I say this every time, but it's just so good. You want to know how we know that Atreus knows that he did something wrong? Because he just called Kratos sir. Kratos isn't pissed. All Kratos did was ask if he's hurt. That's all he did. Atreus just projected onto Kratos. Atreus just oscillated back to child, who did something wrong by going after the elf, falling off the bridge, and his dad had to come save him, pick him up, pull him up onto the ledge. And he immediately goes to shame. He immediately goes to, my dad must be pissed. And as a result of that, he refers to his dad as Sir, which we have really only ever seen him done when Kratos suggests that Atreus has done something wrong. But Kratos didn't say, you messed up here, dude. He just said you injured. So if you want a window into Atreus' mindset and self-reflection on this, and also what he potentially thinks his father thinks about this situation, you look at the language he uses. You look at the way that he orients himself to his father. And by orienting himself to his father in a very like sheepish, sir, it shows that he is aware or thinks, perceives that he has done something wrong in the eyes of Kratos. Which is sort of a lack of attention to Kratos' development as somebody who's tried to mentor him and get him to a point where he makes certain decisions. I don't necessarily expect that Atreus has to attend to that, but that's something for us to know. And I love that because I would expect that kind of response from Atreus there. Because the fact that he is going to equate, like, I'm going to take this a step deeper. So, as Atreus, I'm going to zoom out for this because this is such an important dynamic for the two of them. As Atreus gets older and is exerting autonomy, which is going to be the theme of this entire game, just already decided. As he gets older and exerts this autonomy, one of the things that his teenage brain is going to think is that it means that anytime he is like doing things on his own, that's competence. So that's why we saw him go and like learn about the giants. It's why we saw him go find Freya. He did these things by himself because he has equated competence and being an adult and being strong as being entirely self-sufficient. Any mature, well-read, knowledgeable adult understands that that's not actual competence. That competence is using resources that are available to you to accomplish your goals, and sometimes that means collaboration. Kratos understands that a lot better than Atreus does. So the counterbalance to that is that any time Atreus has to be assisted by somebody, he's going to equate that with failure, with weakness, with too much connection, with reliance and dependency as opposed to autonomy. Because a teenage brain is not quite yet equipped with the ability to understand the nuance of what it means to even be like a competent, healthy, efficient, effective person in the first place. So as soon as he falls off that bridge, screws up, and Kratos has to come into the water and pick him up and use his chains to pull him up on the ledge because he's generally helpless, he is very likely to think, I failed. This is me. This is a reflection on the fact that I'm still not good enough. And that's going to be profoundly painful to him because he is wanting so badly to be self-sufficient. Not just to make his father proud, but also to make himself feel a sense of worthiness relative to the entire world now, rather than relative to his small little microsystem of Kratos and Mimir. Even when he brings Sindri with him, Sindri is like Robin to his Batman. He brings Sindri with him not because Sindri is super powerful and can take over. He brings Sindri with him because he can exert lead. He can experience what it's like to be Kratos relative to Sindri. So I zoom out to talk about this because it's an interesting dynamic to look at, because one of the things that Atreus and a lot of teenagers have to learn is that collaboration is not a reflection of weakness. Collaboration is not a reflection that you haven't figured it out as an adult, and the willingness to accept influence and help and boundaries and rules and skills from other people is actually a really mature and awesome thing to do. And there are adults that struggle with that for sure. He hasn't learned the nuance of that yet. He sees it so black and white. Kratos is a person who can appreciate some of the nuance of that. Again, doesn't get pissed off at Atreus here. Kratos looks at him and he's like, he just wants to know, are you injured? Probably because if Atreus is injured, that means that Kratos has to recalibrate what he does relative to other enemies we might experience, and maybe he has to protect him further because we got to get through this. And Atreus is likely to not acknowledge if he's injured, because if he acknowledges that he's injured, it acknowledges a compensation on Kratos' behalf. It acknowledges that Kratos might have to take care of him, and he doesn't want that because he's equating it with weakness, like what I'm talking about here. The complexity of this is beautiful, and it's amazing to me that it was able to be captured in such a snapshot like that. Like, literally, Atreus saying "sir" is the window into that entire analysis relative to what just happened up until that point. And it just makes my brain explode with happiness. So I love it so much. Oh, so good. All right, keep it going.
Hey, Tyr? Thanks. And I'm sorry about before.
No. I am sorry. I should never have come. We shouldn't linger.
That's actually really great too, because I think it shows a reflection of Tyr's general orientation to accountability. Tyr has acknowledged that his choice to be there is his choice. Atreus has equated this idea that because he suggested he come, that it's somehow his fault. It is not, if you take the purview of Tyr. Atreus suggested they come. Atreus found them, or found him. Atreus said, like, we need you for X thing, but Tyr was ultimately the one who said, okay, sure, I'll come with you. So when Atreus tries to take accountability for that and apologize, I admire that Tyr, to some extent, sticks to his guns on how he's conceptualized this by saying, no, I'm sorry that I came, because this is a choice that violates my doctrine and has put me in a position that I didn't want to be in the first place, and it was my choice to follow you. Which is a subtle way of also acknowledging, by the way, it will be my choice not to follow you in the future. My choice to follow now will be my choice not to follow later. So it's a way to exert, again, some of his autonomy and control in this moment via boundaries, which is cool. This game is so good. Thank you for the raid, Ekrail.
I just want to do the right thing. And according to prophecy...
Speak no more of prophecy.
War will not give you the purpose you seek, Atreus. Only slaughter.
So what are we supposed to do? Roll over? Do nothing?
Enough. We will discuss our next move when we are out of danger.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. Again, always the pragmatist. I agree with him. Like, we need to get out of here first, and then we'll figure it out. This is a more nuanced conversation than we're able to have while we're trying to fight off elves. Totally reasonable. Totally reasonable.
Dark elf assault. How fortuitous.
Yay!
I'm so sick of fighting elves. Can't they just leave us alone?
We need to get out of here.
Agreed.
Through here.
Another dark elf! To the left!
Behind you! Look out!
fighting. Okay. Let me make sure I got everything first. I do not, Bramble. It's not my fight. I'm with Kratos. Yeah, I don't lean one way in this war. It's not my war. Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Let's go, let's go.
Father, this way.
Which, I will make a point about this really quick, is there is wisdom in what Kratos said last episode about how if we don't know what the right side is relative to our values and our general like course, then what the hell are we doing getting involved in the first place? Right? It's not reasonable for us to get involved. There is real wisdom and intelligence and understanding when you aren't responsible for taking a side. A lot of us have been really indoctrinated into this idea that we're always supposed to pick a side. You're supposed to commit. And that's not how it works. Right? Because I have very limited information, as do Kratos and Atreus. Like we don't understand the nuance of this. And so for us to just sit here and go, "Oh, I have an opinion on this. I'm going to go intervene." It's the freaking American way, man. Like America's done that. Guns blazing all the time, just jumping into shit that we don't understand. Like I don't want to be that here. And I don't think Kratos wants to be that here. And Tyr certainly doesn't want to be that here. Both of them are like, dude, this is a fight that is between them, and we're going to de-triangulate ourselves here because we don't deserve to take a side here. Because the reality is when people are on a certain side or are following a certain doctrine or make certain decisions, the reason that they do that is because it makes sense to them. People don't make decisions they very rarely make decisions that don't make sense to them. So if you ask the Dark Elves why they're fighting, they will have a perfectly reasonable explanation for why it is that they choose to engage in whatever way they choose to engage, both subjective and objective. Whether they've been propagandized or not is going to contribute to that. Same with the Light Elves. The Light Elves are going to tell you the same thing. There's a reason that we do this. Both of them feel justified in what it is that they bring to the table, which is why they're willing to fight for it. We don't have even close to the amount of information to make a decision on that they do, which is why I, again, admire that Kratos is like, this ain't our fight. There is real utility in understanding when you are not responsible for something that's happening in front of you and staying out of it. That includes human relationships. You see, if you got an acquaintance who's getting in a fight with the person who's in their intimate relationship, leave them alone. It's not your responsibility to figure that out for them. You don't have all the information. De-triangulation is a wonderful boundary that is set passively and sometimes actively as a way to get other people to be more accountable and responsible for their decisions. You don't always have to take a stance. You don't always have to pick a side. In some ways, that sometimes makes you look less intelligent and informed than if you stay out of it entirely. There is utility to being Switzerland sometimes.
Up here.
The hell? Oh. Fine.
Let's keep moving.
I love Tyr taking the lead here. thought I hit that. God damn it.
I'll meet you on the other side.
The music is so good. Oh boy.
Keep pushing forward.
It's about getting hit and keep moving forward. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Little Rocky quote, Kratos. I like it, man. See ya. There we go. Oh yeah.
Can we leave now, please?
Almost there. This way.
In a minute. Gotta look for loot. Always gotta check for loot. Never know when we might get back here. Oh, here we are, back at the beginning.
Tyr, we...
Open the gateway, please.
Something that Atreus is going to need to learn. And is learning it by seeing that Tyr has basically made up his mind here. Is that sometimes it's not your responsibility to smooth everything over. He is showing a bit of egocentrism in the way that he is trying to console Tyr about the decisions that he's made. He is assuming that the reason that Tyr is upset and trying to get out of here is because of him. And so as a result, he thinks it's his responsibility to smooth that over and console him, when it isn't. Tyr has made it very clear that the reason he's upset is because he chose to follow us. He's not upset at Atreus. He's not upset at Kratos. He doesn't like the fact that they use violence as a way to solve problems, but he's upset at himself. And that's not Atreus' responsibility to get in the middle of and intercept. So it's a reflection, again, of a bit of a inability to get fully into another person's understanding and context. There's a shortage of really good, effective empathy here because of Atreus' development as a teenager. He's just not there yet. So this is a good way for him to learn that point. It's not always your responsibility to make people feel better. Sometimes you have to let people not be okay, and you have to listen when people tell you what they're upset about and depersonalize it when they've told you it's safe to depersonalize it. In the same way that he thought Kratos was mad at him when we got out of the water. He is still egocentric. He's not fully there yet. Which is why he's so beautifully written. And I love that Kratos lets it happen.
You want war, Atreus. See for yourself the legacy this one has left for the Barons. I've had far more than I can stomach.
Oh. Oh, hey, no better way to learn than by experience. Let's go see what Tyr's got for us.
To rush. We should see this desert for ourselves.
Look, I know we can't trust prophecy, but I'm not sure we should just ignore what we saw either.
We are not ignoring it. We will discuss it back home. For now, I wish to search for the wounded animal you heard earlier.
You? Really?
Yes.
Well, okay then. Good. Yeah, lead the way.
Come on. Give me a hug, Kratos. Give me a hug, man. Wow. Tyr just left. We just dealt with absolute chaos here in Alfheim. And Kratos takes an opportunity to show his son that he was listening. I'm tabling that because what you suggested was important to me. So let's go find it. Kratos hates this place, exactly. And he's like, nope, we're going to go explore it and find this thing that was important to you. And Atreus is like, wait, what? Really? Because he is also having to go through the process of reconceptualizing his father. His father is developing alongside with him. Their relationship is developing. See, when you talk about a dyadic relationship, there's actually three things that develop. There's the individual development of Kratos, there's the individual development of Atreus, and then there's the relational development of the two of them. And those three things are happening in tandem and sometimes in conflict with each other. So in this case, we have the development of the father-son dynamic to being one that is a bit more egalitarian. We have Atreus's development as a person who wants to see things and like act on them in finding this vulture or whatever animal it is. And then we have Kratos, who is having to move from sole protector and responsibility of his son to facilitator of autonomy. And what better way to do that than to show your son that the things he cares about are important to you? He doesn't have to agree. He doesn't have to think that it's important in the grand scheme of things. He's acknowledging that this is something that Atreus cared about. This is him reaching to Atreus and saying, I understand you, dude. I listen. I'm not just a stoic, brooding, inaccessible person. I see you. This is an act of service to an extent toward Atreus, but with a really nice, warm spin on it. And I just want to give Kratos so much kudos for this, because so many parents miss out on this. So many parents don't realize that sometimes one of the most important things you can do for a teenager is show them that you care about what they're interested in. You don't have to give a shit about the topic. It's because you care about your kid and you want to facilitate them being excited about something. And this is Kratos doing that. It's beautiful. And if Kratos, one other thing I'll say about this is if Kratos takes it personally that Atreus was surprised that he'd be willing to do this, he misses the mark. Because Kratos also needs to understand Atreus isn't used to this. He's still not used to the fact that his father is willing to follow him, that his father is taking him seriously. Of course, that's what we would expect. The more that Kratos does this, the less surprising it's going to be. So you want to depersonalize this stuff too when your kids react to it in this way. He's like, really? Some parents be like, yeah, or you know what? Fine, never mind, or whatever. Like they get shitty about it. You don't need to get shitty about it. Oh, it's just so good, man. Just so good. This is just an absolute joy to play.
You ever think of cooking meat with those blades of yours?
No. They would foul the meat.
Oh, because of the magic on them?
The blood.
Ah, yes. Carry on then.
I love the pacing of this game too. I know I say it a lot, but the pacing's great. You have these like really uber intense expository moments and then like all this action, and then you get these just really cool, warm, relationship building,
Should be able to
comedic.
reach the barons up top.
So
once we
good.
find a way past this hive matter.
I remember these things. Definitely Dark Elf territory.
Oh, I remember these. Okay. You gotta do this. Wait. Why the hell did I just do that if... Whatever. That looks like a Brock and Sindri hut. All right, let's take a gander at the skills here. Greatly increases immolation charge gained from skill. Protection greatly increases resistance to damage. Increases burn. Okay. Atreus sprints to an enemy and launches them into the air with a heavy vertical attack. Atreus' melee combo has a chance to perform a more powerful attack on a target. Atreus can spin back and shoot enemies who approach him to apply a moderate stun. Do that. Good on that. And... Okay. Blades out. Whoa, look at this thing.
Hail, fellow travelers.
What up?
Oh, wow. This seems useful.
A shield rod that hastens recovery when used to ward off impending doom. Rod of Expedition. Grants a blessing of cooldown when interrupting double blue ring attacks or parrying. I like that. I'm into it. All right, give me some stuff here. Leviathan axe level 2. Oh, I got a frozen flame. Hell yeah, let's go.
This axe just keeps getting stronger.
Yeah. Alright. I don't have a chaos flame.
I am, as always, at your service.
Atreus heard a creature in pain in the desert.
Over a storm like this? Most impressive.
You know Alfheim pretty well, right? Do you have any idea what's out there?
No, sorry. The elves and I... Long story, but it's best when we keep out of each other's way. Hive matter is... stickier than I care for. Good luck on your search, though. Stuff some cloth in your ears to keep the sand out. Don't knock it till you've tried it.
Find a way to reach the pained creature.
Surprised to see you out here, Sindri. You must hate the sand.
Oh, it is the worst. But with Brock banned from Alfheim, it's up to me to keep you ship-shape and sharp.
So why is Brock banned from Alfheim?
Oh, that's, I don't know if... Well, do you know what a juicy noken is?
No.
Well, thanks to Brock, the elves sure do.
What is a juicy...
No.
I, I love that Kratos knows what it is. I love I love that he knows what it is. No. I wish Atreus would have been like, wait a minute, how do you know what it is, Dad? Oh god, that's so good. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Weber, use the questions for DrMick channel on Discord when I'm playing through the playthroughs. That's the best place to ask him. Oh, man. Oh, shit. Unnatürlicher. Two Gulans sit in front of this marker that says unnatural. They're tied to a sled and completely calm. Strange. How long have they sat here? They're just as well behaved as Specky and Svana. Okay. These look like World of Warcraft mounts. I love it.
What are these animals?
Gulan, native to Vanaheim. Not sure what they're doing here.
They're pulling a sled. Smartest man in the world can't figure out that they're pulling a sled? Seemed pretty obvious to me when they rolled up.
Someone trained them to pull a sled. Lucky for us.
You're learning.
Domesticated Gulan. Most unusual.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Let's go. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Oh. Again. Dun, 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 dun. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.
Any particular direction to find your wounded animal? Or are we just enjoying the weather?
I can't hear anything out here.
Perhaps we find a cave first to catch our bearings?
This is neato.
Not getting up there with all this sand in your way.
Well, gotta figure out a way to get rid of that sand then, huh? Let's do some sand blasted.
A tempting treasure chest. Damn the sand.
Okay, so I guess we gotta get rid of this sand, huh? I can do a lot of things, but I can't use my hands to dig sand out. Apparently. Let's go over here.
So much sand. I don't think we're getting through that gate in the storm.
Okay. I get it. I can't go anywhere except for where the animal is yet. Fine. Maybe. Alright, I gotta get around the back side of this. Kratos and Atreus have the same weakness as Darth Vader, apparently. Good joke. There we go. Well, while I poke around this area, I just want to say thanks for being here, friends. If you're here on YouTube or if you're here on Twitch, I'm really grateful that you take time out of your life to watch these playthroughs. I hope that what I have to say about the game is meaningful or interesting in some way. It's a lot of fun to play this, and I'm grateful for so much support. It's been really, really tremendous. So thank you all for supporting what I do. All right. We took care of that.
Whatever this thing is, I think the animal's inside.
Whatever's inside is kicking up quite a bit of sand.
How do we reach it?
There's caves and tunnels aplenty out here. Let's find one and see where it takes us.
Hold on. No! Jesus, hold on. Go up here. There we go. There we go. City Love Lights, thank you for the Prime sub. Appreciate that. Or to go about it on foot. Uh-oh. This looks like some kind of arena where some bad stuff went down. Oh man, now that Mario slide song is stuck in my head and will be probably for the rest of the evening. What's that? Oh, another chest that would be useful if there wasn't so much damn sand around here. Uh-oh. I'm gonna loot this chest right in front of this guy's face. What's up? Ugh.
Watch your left.
Oh boy.
Incoming.
Oh shit. Oh. Oh, I thought I got out of there. Damn. You know what? Ooh, grab him by the nuts and slam him down. Oh my god. Ooh, that nut grab was nutty.
Look here.
The tower's purpose. Though it now serves as a military outpost, this tower's architecture indicates a different function in the time before the division of light and dark. I can find no mention within the archives, which is not altogether unusual. Many of the texts within have been sanitized across generations. The very absence of any information is telling in and of itself. What sacrilegious ceremonies were held here, so inimical to our current status quo, that the librarians eradicated all mention of this tower's true purpose? Can't help but assume the answer is the key to lasting peace. Console.
A horn.
Tributes to Freyr. Not to be confused with the Gallarhorn, great rocket launcher. This piece symbolizes peace. Or at least Freyr's hopes for peace. It was said amongst the more easily excitable of the elves that one day Freyr would blow the horn of quiet, and in so doing bring an end to the war between the elves. Just wishful thinking, I'm afraid. No prophecy ever spoke of such a horn, and as far as I can tell, no such item exists. But that didn't stop the elves from hoping. Can't fault them for that. Look at all this stuff.
What's that?
A diagram for a sword hilt.
Perhaps we should show it to one of the dwarves.
We have found pages torn from an ancient tome. Pages contain diagrams of long-forgotten sword hilts. We can find the ingredients. I believe the dwarves can craft these relics once again. Pages are very old and could be anywhere. It's likely the relics outlined in these diagrams are very powerful.
They'll know what
That
to
sounds
do with it.
cool. I would love me a sword. Beautifully crafted armor found in the Barrens of Alfheim. It shares the radiance of the realm itself. Gauntlets of Radiance. Combo finishers do increased damage. A last second evade activates realm shift, temporarily slowing down surrounded enemies. That's cool. Why not? Those look badass. Alright. I think we got everything there is to get there. I am intrigued. What could be in here? Or am I about to do a full circle and find that there's nothing I can do yet? And this is here to torment me. Looks like that might be the case. A lot of barrels of hacksilver just chilling in here. All right. Really? I can't reach that? Okay, there we go. That seems a bit far-fetched, but we'll try it. Oh. Alright. You can really chuck that axe, man. Like... Boom. so I have to do that in order to get there. One more needs to be lit. Where could you be? If I was another fire, where would I be? Up top, it seems. How the hell do I get up there? What? Trace. Oh, love it. All right. All right. Do, 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 do. There's something here. Not. Oh, doggies. Where are the doggies? Oh, they're there. All right. I think we're close to going in. Good night, lady. Thank you again for the tip. I really appreciate it. Oh my God. What would you do for a barrel of hack silver? All right, let's do this. Leroy. What up, homies? I immediately assume hostility.
What's your left?
God damn it.
Watch out! The wreck is gonna explode!
Right side, brother!
Behind you, father! These things smell awful.
God damn it.
Brother, that groom's found a perch on high!
Ah. There we go. There we go. They need one of those key fob things to make them growl. Yeah, there we go.
These runes.
Yes, what about them? The desert of our ignorance. Ooh. So much of who we are is lost. Not just this desecrated Leviathan, nor its ilk, but the very identity of this creature is knowledge forgotten. Was it a predator? A wraith of the barrens to be feared and avoided? Or perhaps a gentle behemoth tamed by the pre-division elves and farmed for meat? The answer is a grain of sand in the desert of our ignorance. Our history remains buried beneath generations of dead elves. Should another manage to rise above our malignant dogma and search for answers, let those bones serve as a warning. Nothing changes. We will remain forgotten.
So you just refuse to pick a favorite poem? That's uncharacteristically indecisive of you.
I have a favorite poem already. One from my homeland.
Ooh, I'd love to know what that is. A mind-expanding poetic experience constructed by who else but Kvasir. Look around you, O God, turn your head, guide your metal friend with care, or else it be dead. Rescue its friends, experience tension, immerse yourself in a new dimension. I gotta think on that one. We already had Ratchet and Clank. A beautifully crafted armor found in the Barrens of Alfheim. The Belt of Radiance. Ooh, 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 ooh. Nope, I need strength. So, not gonna put that one on. I don't think that's Ratchet and Clank. Guide your metal friend. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, there was another one that I thought was Ratchet and Clank, and maybe I was wrong. Because I could see that one, I guess, potentially being it. This is another one of these whales, isn't it? Ooh, what is this? Treasure map completed. Vulture's Gold. Unstable gemstone craving death and destruction. Okay, let's go. I guess let's follow the actual marker now. Oh. Well, that certainly looks like a cave. Or a crevasse of some type. What up, Boof? This hole doesn't exist for no reason. Oh, maybe we just have to go a different way to get into it. Okay. Here we go. That is what she said. Good one, Gabby.
This cave extends underneath the desert. Is the creature within?
Yeah, sounds like it. We'll find it if we keep going. What is this place?
A refuge for the Dark Elves, by the looks of it. One of the few remaining now that they're barred from the temple.
Great.
Oh boy. The elves flying around kind of remind me of the whatchamacallits from Halo. The flying dudes. I can't even remember their names right. The scarabs from Halo. Or drones. Drones. Yeah. Wait, was it drones? Scarab? I don't know. I can never remember whatever. They're drones? Yeah, drones. Line them up. Line them all up. Where are my axe lovers at? I'm gonna use the axe right now. I'm gonna do it for you. I know I've been very Blades of Chaos oriented. This one's for you, axe lovers. It's quite enough of that. I prefer the blades so much more. They're just more fun to use. Axe is fun too, but oh boy howdy. All right.
You know, now that I know more about the Dark Elves, I wish we didn't have to fight them.
They attack us.
Well, this is their home. And considering what happened the last time we were in Alfheim, can you really blame them?
Rock on, Atreus. Good empathy, my man. Good stuff. Alright, this is interesting because this is perhaps not for us to do yet. Maybe it is. Where's the other bell? All right, we got to think here. Oh, we can go up right here. Good. I don't have enough thoughts to offer right now on it, Dante, because I don't recall all the specifics of the moment itself, but I do remember it. But I wouldn't say that I have, like, anything to offer on it right here. No. Alright, we gotta figure out how to get behind this guy, too. Oh, I know how to get behind this guy. He's gonna pop up, and then we're gonna chuck our axe at him. Wait a minute. How far away do I have to get? Up we go. There we go. And we go. Yeah, Dwarven Steel? Hell yeah, dude. All about that. Now, I'm also interested in the fact that there's one bell here. The other one's over there. Figure it out. More Dwarven Steel. I like this. This is worth our time.
patience a virtue or a threat?
Depends on the reader.
I was just gonna say, depends on the eye of the beholder. Patience found deep within the dark elf cave. They must use these as outposts to launch raids on the temple, a useful spot to watch their enemy and plan their next assault. Alright, let's go. Whee!
The creature you heard, what does it say now?
It's not always like that. Some animals are just... I feel what they're feeling, you know? And whatever this thing is, it's in a lot of pain.
I see.
Why do you ask?
I am curious.
Really?
I am capable of curiosity.
Okay. Okay.
Remember that depersonalization I talked about? It's beautiful. It's a way to teach Atreus, like, there's more to me than this, and I'm allowing you in. I'm allowing you to engage with a little bit more of my curiosity. I'm showing you that I care about what you have to say. Curiosity, in fact, is part of what fuels, I think, some of Kratos' knowledge and wisdom on a lot of things. It's just cool because Atreus has a very myopic view of his father, and it's going to diversify over time as he has more and more of these interactions. So it's a really neat thing to watch them have these moments. He's just surprised that he could matter that much. Pretty common for kids to never take time to understand their parents in that way. It's not a kid's responsibility to take the time to understand their parents in that way. It's the responsibility of parents to facilitate that and to be patient with it. A lot of parents, and I'm not speaking specifically to you, Pizza, a lot of parents feel entitled to their children becoming more curious about them as they get older. And like, no, you're not owed that. They're your kids. You have to facilitate those experiences. Okay, now we got one here, one up there. All right, so I gotta get my. All right, I gotta get in there. Why can't I? Well, you really got to get the angles right here, huh? I can appreciate that.
I've never been this interested before. Can I talk to animals or enchanted rings or whatever?
Much has changed for both of us.
Well, yeah. I'm just trying to figure out why you'd help some random animal.
Is this not what you want?
No, it is. I'm just surprised it's what you want, too.
There's some pretty cool nuance to this. Pretty cool nuance to this. It makes a lot of sense. As Atreus was growing up as a young boy, he had certain interests and goals and stuff that mattered to him, whatnot. But his experience was generally that he was opposed to his father because his father always had a certain directive that they were following. He was always following what his father wanted to do. Children sometimes will take that as we must be diametrically opposed in our interests instead of understanding just how much complexity there is to that kind of thing. And it's because of how egocentric they are. So this idea that Kratos could come along and also want to do something, maybe because he wants to, or maybe it's just because it's what his son wants to do, is going to seem very odd to him because of the fact that his experience has generally been that Kratos is opposed to him. So what this shows us to an extent is that Atreus' general schema relative to Kratos is that Kratos is not ever really in line with his goals. That he either doesn't understand them, he doesn't believe in them, he doesn't think they're as well thought out, and occasionally that's true. Which is why he's done some of the things he's done behind Kratos' back. So this is a really big moment for the two of them because this is showing Atreus that his father is not always against him, that his father is working alongside him. And just because his father might have different ideas and goals than he does doesn't mean that it's an opposition. It just means that they care about different things. And that's okay. It's just neat. I really appreciate the dialogue between the two of them on this. Things have changed for both of them. Yeah, they have. They're both developing, like we were talking about. No idea if this is true, but if I try to maybe dig a little bit into motive on this of why Kratos would want to take time to do this outside of just the like warmth of I want to put effort into something my kid cares about. I do think that maybe this is a way of Kratos accessing how hurt he was by the fact that Atreus went out and sought the giants without him. That was a really key moment. And I think what he had to realize in that moment is that if Atreus cares about something, he's gonna go pursue it. He's shown that in micro instances and in the macro. So like a good parent, Kratos has decided, I'm going to take an interest in my son's motivations and show him that I'm willing to go along with it because I need to put some karma in the bank that Atreus will trust me to come along with him next time he wants to do something that maybe he thinks I may not want to do. Because I was really hurt when he went without me, and I know that's what he's going to do. It's what I probably did when I was a teenager. He was going to probably try to find this animal no matter what, so I'm better off banking the karma, showing him that I care, getting him to believe in me, because then when something really crazy happens, he's going to talk to me about it. So it's a really smart parenting move on Kratos' part to do this, and more parents of teenagers would do well to understand that. Because if you show interest in what your kids' motivations are and you show a willingness to go along with them and be curious about them, they're more likely to approach you later on. All right. Oh shit, I don't want to go down yet. I want to open this door. And I want to get this chest. Okay. So I gotta hit that one. Alright. I gotta hit this. I gotta hit that. And I gotta somehow get down fast enough to hit the third one. So, what's my angle? If I can... Wow, did I get it? Holy crap. All right. Well, that works for me. That one seemed like it was going to be terrible. Yeah.
If you wish to abandon this creature, we will leave.
Well, no, I don't want to abandon it. But if we have to kill a bunch of dark elves to get there...
I remember a young lad whom, until this very moment, would take on an army of Draugr to save a wounded animal.
But these aren't undead Draugr. They're elves. I just want to make sure we're not repeating the same mistakes. Getting involved where we shouldn't.
Mwah! This is such a crucial moment for Kratos and Mimir. And I'm a little bit bummed they didn't say anything. Because that is what you want. That is the type of abstract, formal operational thought that you want to see. He is learning that there is more than meets the eye on these complicated situations, and his acknowledgement of that is huge. It's an oscillation toward adulthood in this moment. And these are the types of things that you want to cultivate through reinforcement as much as you possibly can as a parent. The most important thing that Kratos could do here would be to say, I am really proud of you, son, for thinking about that. That's some really great growth. That's a man who can think for himself and understand nuance. That would mean the world to Atreus. I really wish they would say something there. I really, really wish they would. Because as a parent, those are the moments that you got to seize it, and you got to acknowledge it, and you got to show that you're proud of it. Doesn't mean that Atreus is all the way there. Doesn't mean he's not going to stumble and he's going to oscillate back to egocentrism. But his ability to now take this and say, I have a motivation, but there are complicated things we have to do to get there, and I have to do a cost-benefit analysis on that, and what are the implications of it? That's formal operational thought emerging. He's having an internal dialogue with himself. He's processing it externally. He projects that insecurity out, tries to seek a little bit of reassurance from his father because his ideas aren't fully formulated. The thing is, as you become more adult and you start to understand that there's nuance to the world, it breeds anxiety. Because now all of a sudden things aren't as cut and dry as you thought they were as a teenager. And so he seeks reassurance from his father via confirmation of his goals and his objective here so that he can mitigate some of that anxiety. So there's just so much happening in that interaction that is just so beautiful. And it's so indicative of the way that he's oscillating through development right now. It's so good, man. I agree with you completely, Scott. Do you have an example of what you described with the parent helping like this segment but not doing it right? The easy one with this would be if Kratos completely dismissed Atreus and said, that vulture's not important. We're going elsewhere. Leave it alone. And just like shames him for it, and then takes him back to Brock and Sindri's, and then leaves Atreus with this like open-ended, well, I really want to do this, and it's important to me, and I feel it, and my father doesn't believe in it, so I'm just going to sneak out and go back to Alfheim and do it. Like in real life, I mean, it could be something like going and doing certain activities, hanging out with certain people, beginning a certain interest or skill that a kid wants to develop, like, you know, if your child wants to go to like volunteer somewhere or get involved in some form of activism or something, like sometimes parents will really like shut that down instead of be curious about it, and it causes a lot of problems because then kids will sneak out and do it anyway. My gut reaction to Atreus being uncertain makes me feel like his confidence might have taken a hit as well in regards to his own judgment. Is that something that might occur? Yes, and that's mature. Because as soon as we found out that perhaps the Light Elves aren't the good guys, that shattered Atreus's really well, tightly packed idea that they had done the right thing. And it forced him to have to explore gray areas. And so now what he's doing is he's saying, this is how deductive reasoning works. He learned in that moment that you might not always be right. That sometimes you feel strongly convicted on something and then the evidence shows otherwise. So now what he's doing is he's saying, well, wait a second. That process can transcend other content. It can transcend other events. So maybe us going to try to find this animal, I think it's right, but the things that we're having to do to get there might actually not be the good way to go about this. Oh shit, what does that mean? So he's basically applying what he learned to other circumstances, which is great. That's how you develop deductive reasoning. That's literally it in the flesh. It's fantastic. No reinforcement there, huh? Oh man, I would have loved it if they could have said something. It would make such a huge difference. You've got to take time to respond to that. You can't take that for granted as an adult. If Kratos and Mimir take for granted that Atreus just had that thought process, they're doing it wrong. Like, yes, that's where you want them to get, but as people are learning, you want a lot of reward and reinforcement for skill development. It really makes a difference when people are trying to get into new skills and new thought patterns and more complexity. It sounds cheesy, and sometimes parents struggle with it because they feel like they're coddling their kid, but if there's an area you want to coddle your kid, it's in reinforcing stuff like that. Not protecting them from events that lead them to have to think that way. Alright, let's keep rolling. I always try to say good question when I'm training somebody at work and they ask something to follow up. Sometimes I feel a little silly doing it, but I want to encourage people to ask when they're not sure on something. Don't ever underestimate the power of that. It's incredibly, incredibly important. to say stuff like that. You always want to reinforce processes that you perceive to be ideal. Boof, thank you for the 3-month sub. Appreciate that. Down we go. This is a game that, like, every parent that has a teenager should have.
On your left!
This is very interesting. I think I need to chuck this through. Alright, so we go like this, and then we call it back, and it should go. Ah, wait. Alright. Oh, it just banked immediately. Okay. Well, that was easier than I thought it was going to be.
It's just, why does it feel like no matter what we do in Alfheim, we wind up hurting Dark Elves?
We are down here to help the creature you heard.
I know that, but I'm usually the one who drags us around trying to rescue animals. Why do you care so much? Is there something you're not telling me?
No.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
there is. Oh, Kratos, you gotta answer him, bud. That is, that's a punishment for his son's curiosity. That is a real chance to connect with your son, dude. And I am curious what his aversion is. See, in the same way that we're talking about how Atreus is having to grapple with a change in orientation of his father toward him, Kratos has to go through the same thing. Kratos also has to realize that his son is equally capable of curiosity. Right? Like, if you're going to give your son a hard time for the fact that he's giving you shit for not being curious, and then your son is curious, and then you punish the curiosity by not giving an answer or being quite cagey around it, you're missing the mark. Atreus is at a point now where he's trying to put together a lot of different abstract concepts, and he's not doing it particularly well, or at least it's a struggle for him. And his ultimate curiosity here is Kratos' motivation for bringing us down here. And if you listen to his language, he's conceptualizing this as being Kratos' idea. So Atreus still hasn't let go of the idea that his father is always the leader when he's present. He still sees this as being Kratos' idea, that he's following Kratos down here, that it must be because he wants to, instead of realizing, wait a second, Kratos is here is because I want to be here. He sees me as capable of leadership. We'll see what happens. I would love to. I'm not making any assumptions on Kratos' motivations here. Because he needs to speak up. And the fact that he's not makes it easier to be empathic toward Atreus right now, because I also am curious. I mean, I feel like I have some idea. I've given you all my hypotheses, but I would like to hear it from Kratos himself. If he's playing 4D chess, maybe it's that Kratos wants Atreus to sit with the uncertainty of this. He wants... Actually, this would be kind of amazing if this is the case. If Kratos wants to facilitate some really, really awesome abstract thought and leadership for Atreus, leaving himself out as a variable and giving confirmation is a good way to get Atreus to have to solidify that this is his decision that he wants to do. That he has to fight through the gray area of this. He has to sit with the fact that there's not always going to be reassurance available to him that this is the right thing to do. And that leadership sometimes is making hard decisions with those kinds of variables. Like, if he's really trying to facilitate that, then he's doing a hell of a job of it. If he is being cagey because of some sort of either like insecurity or projection or whatever that he's bringing to the table, then he's missing the mark. That's the motivation that I could get behind if Kratos was to come forward and tell me that that's why he's doing it.
Oh!
And also, if that is the case, I could get behind the caginess. Like, I could support the fact that he's not being forthcoming right now, and perhaps will be forthcoming later. Man, and to think I practiced my aim with that chime with Ratatosk. Better look here. So I can walk around perhaps, and I'm gonna have to turn it so that I can shoot at it from a different angle. It would seem. Which way do I go? Man, this is really interesting. There's like no way forward. Huh. I am actually stumped. Let's see if I can figure this out. somehow... Like, obviously the angle on that one's good, but hitting that one is the problem. I don't have proper angle to hit that guy at. I don't think that's it. I really don't think that's it. That's not it. Oh, vey, man. All right. Let's regroup here. It's the same deal with this guy. Oh, I'll get it figured out. It's just gonna take a minute. That one can hit both of these, but it's just like the angles. I just don't have... Obviously has something to do with that guy, but I gotta... So let me see where my angles are with this thing, because I don't have an angle on that here. It generally is something like really stupid too. Like it's general, yep, like that. Like it's never as complicated as I make it out to be, ever. I get frustrated with my brain sometimes on this stuff. Yeah, see, 'cause now. Same deal. Yeah.
Nightmare! Left flank!
Target down!
Oh, there was a nest there. Okay. Well, that makes more sense. All right. We climb. Did you turn off back seating? No, I didn't. I mean, I turned off the toggle that you can turn off, but no, I've been appreciating that they're not helping me out with this. I like it. It's more fun for me.
Found it.
Whoa, it's a jellyfish?
What is it?
Great, Gefjun's ghost. That's the largest bloody half-goof I've ever laid eyes on.
It's not just in pain. It's trying to sing.
It's the Song of the Sands. They don't normally sing like this underground.
Is that what's causing the storm?
Aye. Judging by all this hive matter weighing it down, it's been trapped here for dozens of winters.
Don't worry, Mooch. We'll get you out.
Lunch. It's got a
What
name.
is that name?
Well, the last squid thingy we saw was Diener, so...
Oh boy. Well, I appreciate the attempt at humor. That, little brother, is truly awful wordplay. Embarrassing, really.
Oh, well, can't all be winners.
No way. That's so good. Oh my god.
There's gotta be a way to clear those rocks. Get a better angle.
It's such a good joke. I wasn't ready for the dad joke. I really wasn't ready for the dad joke. Oh, it's so great. All right. Oh, let's figure this out. Oh, that's too good.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, thank you for that, Atreus. Appreciate you, buddy.
Looks like it can move now, but it still can't get out.
Much of the hive matter is gone. We can free it from the surface now.
Oh, cool. All right. You got a fast travel for me, Sony? You got one for me? Huh? Little chain I can ride right back up to the top? All right, good.
Why did they trap it down here?
Half-goofers are known to burrow. Well, I'd hesitate to place full blame on our dark elf friends.
But it's trapped in their hive stuff.
Hive matter doesn't belong to the dark elves, any more than the light belongs to the light elves. It's just another of Alfheim's natural resources. One the elves have used since the time of their ancestors. And while the light elves seem keen to banish the hive over on their side, the dark elves make effective use of it out here in the barrens.
So, by clearing out all of this hive, are we hurting Dark Elves?
You wish to leave the creature enslaved?
No.
Then let us free it.
Moral Gray Areas 101, co-taught by Mimir and Kratos. You're getting the syllabus today, big dog. Hell yeah. Beautifully crafted armor. Oh, here we go. Ooh, strength goes up in addition. Damn, this thing is... These are awesome. Are you kidding me? Why on earth wouldn't you wear that? Stun, burn. Whoa. Okay. All right. I just want to throw this, Kratos. All right. Now we free it. I don't know, man. I think I'd probably take cold nipples over chaff nipples.
This is the spot. We can cut the half goofa loose here.
It flies? Of course it flies. It's a half goofa.
Sounds much happier now. And hey, the storm's gone.
Aye, perhaps we'll finally earn some goodwill from our dark elf friends after all.
Look, Father, thanks for bringing us out here, but you don't have to do this kind of stuff just to keep my mind off Ragnarok, you know?
This was not a distraction.
No? Then why are we really out here?
Have you ever considered he just wants to spend time with you, lad, while he still can?
Really?
We do not know what lies ahead. But if Ragnarok approaches, I wish to enjoy the time we have left.
I don't know what to say. Thank you for bringing us out here. I'm glad we did this.
As am I.
Oh, so many angles, so many things, so many things. Atreus' assumption that Kratos is trying to distract him from his over-involvement in Ragnarok again gives us a little bit of a window into where Atreus' mind is at, which is that he still wants to stop Ragnarok. So remember, you learn a lot about teenagers' motivations and values by just listening to the stuff they say in reference to the people around them, because they often assume things and interact with you as a result. So that tells us that Atreus is still thinking about getting in the way of Ragnarok and thinks his dad wants to distract him, which means that there's some acknowledgement that maybe there's some gray there. That part out of the way, I would normally give Mimir a lot of crap here about the fact that he stepped in and said the vulnerable thing. Like, do you ever consider that maybe your dad just wants to spend time with you because we don't know how much time we have left? But you know what? I see that to an extent as Mimir scaffolding that conversation in a meaningful way. In the way that a therapist would. There have been so many times in my career where I have said something like that or interpreted something and put it out there, because sometimes the hard part is just getting the initial verbiage out, and then once it's out there, you can't really unknow it, and then it gets them into a connective space where Atreus is like, really? And his dad's like, yep. That's actually true. It's easier for Kratos to confirm what Mimir said rather than say it himself. And I actually don't think that Kratos would have ever said it. Probably because of his own anxiety and reservations about what that would mean. Some of which probably aren't true. So Mimir stepping in there, throwing that concept out there, and then allowing Kratos the ability to access his strength and confirming it and giving Atreus a bit of that reassurance and the door open is really good. And essentially, like, Mimir is playing the role of therapist there. Sometimes you have to help people along through vulnerability. You could know what you want to say, you could know the answer for the question, and sometimes the emotional intensity around it and all the narratives and perceptions that we construct around it lead to us choosing not to say it. Sometimes, if somebody says the one thing that pushes the cart down the hill, you can gain control of the cart as it goes down the hill, and that's exactly what happened there. So, applause to Mimir. Applause to Kratos for leaning into it rather than getting mad at Mimir for putting the vulnerability on the table, because Mimir took a real risk there by putting Kratos' vulnerability on the table. And props to Atreus for being open to hearing that. Really great stuff. It became increasingly obvious throughout this that Kratos was going to withhold himself from saying that. I think probably because it's scary for him to acknowledge that the end of the world might be here and he can't protect his son from it. So, right, so to acknowledge that he wants to spend time with his son because he doesn't know how much time left is also an acknowledgement that he doesn't know that he can protect him. And that's super painful. It's all he's got. It's so good, man. It's so good. Just fabulous. Now, I would love to know how many people on YouTube were cringing like hell when I was doing all these puzzles while it was sandy, knowing that it wasn't going to be sandy anymore and that I'd have the opportunity to do it with more clarity.
I remember to ask Tyr about his travels to the lands beyond the seas.
You wish to travel the world?
I don't know. Maybe. See new places. Find out more about myself.
Now, the hope would be that Mimir... Okay. Let me do this. A little bit of a mini lesson about scaffolding. I have an entire lecture about this, about learning theory, on my YouTube channel. So those of you that are watching this on YouTube, if you're interested in more about this, I encourage you to watch that video. But a little bit of a mini lesson about scaffolding. You have a skill. So you take any kind of skill. In this case, we're going to talk about Kratos expressing vulnerability. That's a skill. Kratos is the learner in this scenario, and Mimir is the teacher. Atreus is just the beneficiary of the learned skill. So take Kratos and Mimir here. So we have to look at disclosure of vulnerability through a frame of competency, of which Kratos does not possess much competency relative to that skill. And the goal of scaffolding is to progressively move the learner through a skill where in the initial stages of learning, there is a lot of intervention from the teacher. And you move to a point where the teacher slowly withdraws their involvement and expertise as a means to allow the learner to progressively implement the skill to the point that they can implement the skill unaided. So Kratos at incompetence is no disclosure of vulnerability. Kratos at full competence is acknowledgement of vulnerability and clear and direct disclosure, in this case, to his son. You cannot expect that Kratos is going to immediately go from zero disclosure to perfect disclosure. And that is a ridiculous notion. He has to learn the skill. So Mimir involved himself significantly there by basically saying the vulnerable thing on Kratos' behalf, giving word to it, but putting it on the table so that Kratos could field it afterwards. The goal here and the hope would be that in having that experience, Kratos now learned some of the language, sees the moment in which he could disclose it, and the next time that there's an opportunity for him to disclose that by his son asking questions that get him to notice it, he will disclose it. Maybe not particularly well, not as soft and vulnerably as Mimir did on his behalf, but he will disclose it. And maybe Mimir has a side conversation with him later that says, hey, man, you might want to consider saying that thing this way. And then he goes off and he does it and he implements the skill and then gets to a point where he can disclose it without the aid of Mimir. That's essentially how scaffolding works. So Mimir was the teacher in that way. And so if we want Kratos to get to the point where he could do that, if that was his goal and that was meaningful for him to do, Mimir's over-involvement there is okay in the context of learning that skill. And that applies to any skill you want to throw on the table. So there's a little mini lesson about scaffolding for anybody who's curious about that and why I'm okay with the fact that Mimir addressed that when I was giving Mimir a hard time in earlier parts of this playthrough. Because there are times where him being involved is not helpful.
There's something I'm not sure I quite understand. In the Ragnarok prophecy Odin knows, all the realms get destroyed, including Asgard. In the version Groa kept secret, Asgard still falls. Wouldn't Odin have tried to prevent it either way? What difference would her lie really make?
I think of it this way. When it comes to subverting prophecy, knowledge is power. Without the full picture and context, the finer details can lead you to tragically incorrect interpretations. Back in my homeland, I was privy to the operations of a certain coven of heath witches who were keen on destabilizing the government. They picked an influential Thane, an otherwise loyal man, and fed him a story of his own ascension to king. They dressed it up in enough details they knew would come to pass, so when they did, the Thane took it as confirmation. Next thing you know, he's helping matters along. He murders his king, sleeping under his own roof. Murders many he once called friends, too, thinking them fated to oppose him. Then, for a finishing touch, the witches revisit this usurper. With just a few details structured ever so misleadingly, they convinced the fool he was invulnerable to all threats.
Physical or magical?
Aye, but 'twas not so for him. All turned into a rather magnificent bloodbath as they go. The Thane ends up without his head and a name so cursed none dare speak it. All thanks to a subtly deceptive prophecy.
You've really got to write these stories down one day, Mimir.
Well, I'll try. Jaw tends to get sore.
Yeah, and then make sure you write an iambic pentameter too. He was referencing Macbeth, right? Okay, yeah, I'm looking at chat right now. That was a reference to Macbeth. Like, I'm listening to that, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I was in that play at one point. That was so good.
I'm not that way. You think that means...
Another half-goofa.
Oh, so good. I love it. What a great way.
The chisel will not open this.
Did the lighthouse put this lock here? Why would they care what happens in the Barrens?
A fair question. But until we find the right key, that poor half-goofa will have to continue its solo act.
Oh, man. That was great. What a neat little Easter egg there. Like, that took me back to high school. I was describing that. I'm like, wait a second.
Come on, brother. Let's have it. You mentioned you had a favorite poem from your homeland. What was it about?
A cunning general. A war over forbidden love.
I believe I've heard of this one. Did it involve a horse that was not as it appeared?
Yes, but that is not what happened.
Oh, it's based on truth then. And you were there.
Yes. I wrote the poem.
Sort of a harp. I can play beautifully, you know.
I do not. and would prefer it remain that way.
A miniature harp, unplayable, of course, likely meant to reflect Freyr's musical skill. It's said that with a stringed instrument in his hand and a song on his lips, there was nothing he couldn't accomplish. No virgin too chaste, or chaste, I always forget how to pronounce that. No warrior too wrathful. I'd like to imagine Freyr was smart enough to not resort to song and dance when it came to brokering a peace between elves. That's what I'd like to imagine. Oh. There we go. A shield rod with the power to unleash further ruin upon a cursed enemy. Rod of Affliction. Shield strikes. Double tap L1 against status afflicted enemies to consume the ailment, causing a damaging elemental explosion. Alright.
Mimir, you said souls come in 4 parts. Does that mean you can lose some of your soul, but not all of it?
Aye. Form, mind, direction, and luck. Lose any one of them and the entire being suffers. Still, sometimes luck alone is enough. Just ask your father.
My success does not come from luck.
Ah, the refrain of the eternally lucky.
Love the tension, too, because we know that he's asking about that because of Brock and Sindri. In particular, Brock. Why taking such a curiosity toward that, Atreus? I don't know. Alright, let's see. Have we done all there is to be done? Luck is another one of those things that sometimes is very frustrating because if you've worked very hard and you've developed a skill and then people attribute it to luck as opposed to the hard work you put in, it can be very invalidating.
Here.
Gulan called. Thanks to the opposition's grotesque hypocrisy, Alfheim's Gulan are a threat to our livelihood. Though I've called many on the surface, there are undoubtedly more down below in the Dark Elves' hovels. So long as we deny them access to our light, the pair at the desert's entrance shall remain the only docile version of these foul beasts. Let them remain. They will serve as useful subjects for further light infusion experimentation. The Maven. Reminds me of the, like, Valkyrie thing from the first game.
Mimir, you were talking about how Fenrir's soul is headed for the light of Alfheim. But that's because he was a wolf, right?
Aye. Were he a god or a human who died in battle, a Valkyrie would have taken him to Valhalla or Folkvanga. Had he been a human or god who died outside of battle, he was cast down to Helheim. But Fenrir was a wolf, so his soul will join all the others in Alfheim.
Like mothers.
Yes, like your mother's.
Oh, okay. All right. This is back down. That's where we came out. Got it. Okay. One more chest. That's a lot of hack silver. All right, and I think that is gonna be all of the stuff that is in this area. Oh no, I think there's one more. We gotta go to the front
How's
left.
the shield holding up, lad?
It's good. I always knew Sindri was a great blacksmith, but this magical shield, it just feels natural.
The shield is well made, but it is you who wields it with skill.
Thanks.
Hell yeah, Kratos. That's right. You tell your son that he's strong.
More bloody
Oh,
drop.
okay. No. Oops.
Reminds me of tales of a cruel empress, one too angry to die.
You will see.
Brother, I had a thought. What if we took a stealthy approach to our next battle?
No.
No. You wonder which part of Brock's soul is missing, don't you? I mean, sure. I'm sure we'll find out. I'm not even going to try to speculate. All right. Yeah.
I'm here for you.
Oh, cool. Okay, so I don't have that yet.
And in pristine condition, too.
Don't have enough dwarven. Wow, I don't have enough dwarven steel to upgrade that. Wrist armor. Do I have enough for this? I do.
Huh. That might be my best piece yet today.
Very good.
Asgardian ingot. Belt of might. Let's go ahead and upgrade that.
Gonna keep it spatter-free this time, right? Kratos? Want something in particular?
I'll do what I can, buddy.
Now, just because you've got new armor doesn't mean you should let yourself get knocked around more.
Very well.
Sounds good, Sindri.
I think I need new socks.
What has happened?
They're wet.
They will dry.
You know, I just knew you were gonna say that.
Then why did you ask?
I'm really not sure.
They will dry.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Oh, man. Well, as you might expect, we'll go through the portal at part 9. This was a really enjoyable episode. I hope all of you had a great time. Those of you that are here on YouTube, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out and engage with the content. I really hope you leave a thumbs up on your way out and leave a comment down below if you got something you'd like to say. As a reminder, I don't claim to be right. These are just my interpretations. I am so grateful that so many of you are watching these playthroughs. It is really, really cool. And this has been an absolute pleasure. I mean, I look forward to every single one of these episodes. So if you're binging, I'll see you in episode 9, where we'll go right through that portal. And if you're waiting for the next one to come out, I will make sure that I get it out to you as fast as I can. Always grateful for your support. Thanks for following the links down in the description. Come hang out with us sometime and introduce yourself. I'd love to say hello. And I will catch you part 9.